Nearly 5 million Texans have already cast a ballot in the midterm elections. That surpasses the number of midterm voters in the 2014 elections. And around the country, enthusiasm is building, especially among younger voters. Here to talk about this is Travis County GOP Chairman Matt Mackowiak and Tara Pohlmeyer from Progress, Texas. Now, a Harvard Kennedy School poll finds 40% of young Americans plan to vote in the midterm elections. That's voters aged 18 to 29. Matt Mackowiak, how important is that young vote going to be for Republicans?
Well, all the demographics matter, no question. Generally, in elections, the older you are, the more likely you are to vote. And we see the most reliable voting group by age is senior citizens, those over 65. Generally, we don't see young voters turn out at high levels in midterm years. They generally vote in presidential years, particularly if they're inspired by one candidate or another in one of the major parties. I know the Democrats have focused on the college campuses and tried to turn out votes in those areas at places like University of Texas and Texas State and other colleges. So we'll see what that ultimately means. I will also say that I know that on the right, there's a growing movement of conservative organizations that are mobilizing young voters. You see that with Turning Point USA, you see that with college Republicans, Young Conservatives of Texas, even Students for Life. So I think we don't want to presume that all young voters are voting Democratic. I certainly don't think that's the case. I think they're probably getting a good margin, but I think there are a good number that are voting Republican as well.
You know, Tara, talking about this poll of the 40% likely voting, about 54% are said to be leaning left, combined with independent voters. That poll, that Harvard poll, estimates that 2/3 of the young voters are going to be pulling for Democrats, which will help them take control of Congress. Do you believe that?
Yes, I do. I think that when we're talking about my generation here, a lot of young voters are more likely to side with Democratic values. And I think a lot of our Democrats that are currently running for Congress and currently running for statewide office here in Texas are speaking to those values that young voters truly care about. We want affordable health care. We want affordable education. We want immigration reform. And those are things that Republicans just can't offer us. I think Republicans are banking that young voters won't turn out because those voters are more likely to be Democratic. And so when we're talking about young voters here, we really do think that these Democrats are going to turn out and make their voices heard and make a change for Texas.
Yeah, I mean, talking about the turnout, this poll talking about 40% of 18 to 29-year-olds are going to turn out to vote, Matt Mackowiak. Do you believe that?
No, I don't. 40% would be pretty high. That's generally what overall turnout looks like in a midterm election in Texas. So I don't think that's what it will reflect here. But I also don't know that I'd consider someone 28 or 29 years old young. But either way, you know, look, every subgroup's going to matter in areas where there are college campuses. If those students turn out at a higher rate, that's obviously going to matter. Places like Austin, places where there are college campuses. So, you know, we'll see. I think there obviously are different you know, voting percentages in different groups for one party or the other. I do think this is part of a distinct strategy for the Democrats, that they really wanted to focus on college campuses. We'll see whether they're ultimately able to do that. Generally, counting on college kids to turn out and vote has been a very difficult and unfortunate strategy in the past.
Okay, well, you know, talking about the big race in Texas, O'Rourke versus Cruz, and the influence of young voters, we're a day out from the election, so I'm just going to ask you both for final scores on that race. You know, Matt Mackowiak, what's the final score on that one?
Yeah, there's a lot of differing opinion about this among people that are following it closely. I think Cruz is likely to win by 7 to 9%. I think it'll be a distinct win on his side, but we'll see. If Republicans turn out on Tuesday, I think Cruz is going to win by a good margin.
7 to 9% for Matt. Tara, what do you say, final score on this one?
I think Beto O'Rourke will win by probably 7 to 10%. I see a lot of these polls coming out do only poll likely voters, and those voters that are voting for the first time, over 300,000 Texans so far who have been polled for the first time, those people are not being counted, and they will be counted at the polling place.
All righty. A difference of opinion we will know tomorrow. Matt, Tara, thank you both very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.